Well, believe it or not, we've had almost 22 years in Pennsylvania to get our real ID, but fewer than 3 out of every 10 of us have actually done that. Seth Kaplan is one of those 3, of course. He is live at Harrisburg International Airport with the very latest about what the rest of us need to know. Good afternoon to you, Seth.
Good afternoon to you, James. Although I wasn't always. I mean, I just finally got mine a few months ago. And you know, if you feel like, wait a second, I've seen this story before. I've seen Seth out at the airport doing the same story before. You have, and that is the point. Put it this way. Come next Wednesday, May 7th, somebody's going to show up here and not be able to get through there. And that was the point of this morning. PennDOT, Airport, and AAA leaders gathered to remind everyone about the deadline and to confirm, leaving no room for doubt, yes, the deadline was extended a million times over the years, over the decades really, and no, it will not be extended again. May 7th, most people will need the Real ID Gold Star on your Pennsylvania driver's license to get past TSA at an airport or to get into federal buildings that have similar security. There is one important exception.
You need that or the passport. Now, the passport, not a lot of folks carry the passport to fly from Harrisburg to Chicago. If you're going to rely on the passport instead of the Real ID, you have to bring it with you.
And again, another perfect example, me, right? You think I know all about this stuff. I almost missed a flight, essentially, for a different reason. We were flying to Detroit a year or so ago, but we were going to be crossing over to Canada. I was thinking, domestic flight, I don't need a passport. Got here, realized, luckily we'd left early. I ran home, got it. But hey, these are the things you have to think about. So yeah, if you don't have the Real ID, you do need a passport now, even for a domestic flight come next Wednesday. Now, you know, as you've been seeing with your own eyes and as we've been reporting, the lines at the PennDOT license centers are very, very long. That does include today, Monday, usually a day when the license centers are closed. They have opened them. They're working 6 days a week. They've been saying for this past year, hey, get your Real ID. Make sure you have it by May 7th. The message now, James, is a little more nuanced. Secretary Carroll, who you heard there a moment ago, is telling people, if you don't need to fly or have a specific reason for it next Wednesday, or if you do have a passport and are going to remember it, maybe don't wait in the line because it is so long, and they do expect those lines, James, to taper off. Another thing, we've been talking about what percentage of people have it. That number is approaching 30%. You mentioned there before, 3 in 10. Others, people do have passports and not Real IDs. I asked Secretary Carroll, what does he think that adds up to? He's hoping something like half of Pennsylvanians right now have either a Real ID or a passport. Obviously, that number will have to come up at some point here, but not everybody, again, is getting on an airplane next Wednesday or needs it next Wednesday.
And Seth, that's a very important point. The deadline, you know, for people to start using this Real ID is next week, but that is not when you can still get this Real ID after next week.
Most definitely so, and that's the point. We use this word deadline. You're perfectly fine having your old driver. Nothing is going to change between Tuesday and Wednesday next week unless you are getting onto an airplane or have another specific need for it. So it's not that you must have it. It's not if you get pulled over by a cop that you're going to be in trouble right there. No, you don't ever need it if you're never going to get on an airplane. However, PennDOT officials reminded people today, don't not get it. I know, double negative there, but don't not get it just because you think you're never going to get on an airplane, because emergencies come up. People have to, you know, fly somewhere for, you know, whether it's something good or a funeral, something like that last minute. So most definitely get it, but just if you don't have a specific purpose right now next week, it's okay to wait a week or two.
Yeah, because those lines are probably going to continue to be long all the way through next week. Seth Kaplan, live for us there at Harrisburg International Airport.